Yeah, and I mean that kind of raises a point which I've heard you talk about numerous times, and that is that most traders tend to come unstuck due to a lack of flexibility. Is that what you're getting at here?
Yeah, I mean that's a trait that probably the majority of traders don't have, and it is a trait that is essential for great traders. That is the ability to be flexible in every way. And one example would be to be able to say, "Hey, this has been a great method, but it's just stopping working, and I've got to figure out what does work and why this is not working, and change if it's not working." So that's a way of being flexible. Another way of being flexible is like one of the stories I have in hedge fund market wizards, a fellow by the name of Jamie May, who goes into a trade, he goes into one trade idea, and this is a guy who does very, very deep fundamental research and can spend months researching an idea and making sure he's got it all right. But he had this idea, say, a few years ago, where China was going from being a net exporter of coal to a net importer after years, a whole history of being just a net exporter. And he saw this growth in China and could see that there was going to be a tremendous amount of shipping increases going on because of China's demand. And so he had this bright idea of getting long shipping stocks. But when he did the research, he discovered that that shipping had actually gone through a boom a couple of years earlier because of a commodity price boom, and there was a whole slew of ships that were coming on stream, tremendous bulge in supply that was coming on stream. So once he became a bit aware of that, he realized that the trade was not buying shipping companies, but being short. He doesn't actually go short because he's always trying to have asymmetric return risk. So he did that by buying long-term puts on shipping companies. And ironically, this big idea that he had, which he put on in exactly the reverse fashion, ended up being his best trade for the year. Again, flexibility. And of course, maybe the most important way of being flexible is when you're in a position and you decide that you're wrong. It's the ability to get out. And if you're really convinced you're wrong, great traders will not only get out, but will have no problem flipping their position completely around.
Yeah, okay. And I think this is probably a good segue into my next question, which is, are there any traders you've interviewed and that stand out who pretty much just broke all the rules and just did the complete opposite of what you're quote unquote supposed to do when it comes to trading?
One. You can take all the traders I ever viewed into my life, successful traders I interviewed in my life, in any of the books, and including ones I interviewed that didn't go into the books. But only one stands completely alone, completely removed from the whole crowd of other traders. And if there is to use a cliche, the exception that proves the rule, I don't know.